All right, it's the Home Cringe Show. I'm your host, Katie Shahan, here for the Yarlow Home Cringe Show, where we talk about all things cringy about home ownership. And we like to bring our favorite guests on the show who have pro tips and tricks on how to make home ownership a little bit easier, as well as educating us about possible products out there. So today we got our friend Joe Hazeman back. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how you guys doing?
And Joe is from Air Comfort Heating and Air here in the Twin Cities. And he says that he does the horseshoe around the Twin Cities.
Yep. So I'm based out of the northwest, and everyone asks me like, "What's your service area?" And do you service the north or the west? And I say I'm a horseshoe. So I go north to the west to the east side. So I'm a big horseshoe around the cities. So I've even ventured down to that southern part too, but I try to stay northwest or east. But yep.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's not fun to cross that 494 most of the time.
Yeah, always tried to stay north of that, but
Yep,
we get referrals all the time down there, so we're going down there too. So
perfect. All right, so on our show, we like to introduce our guests with our fast pitch, where we ask Joe as many questions as we can in about a minute, and he gives us some entertaining answers. So we can get to know Joe a little bit better, and Joe can get to brag about cool things.
yeah,
All right, you ready?
ready when you are.
All right. What is your favorite type of donut?
Oh man, I actually just like a plain glazed donut when Krispy Kreme was here. That was my favorite, plain glazed. I'm a plain kind of guy.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, what is the most common tool left behind on the job?
Screwdrivers, or smaller tools that are easily forgotten. Little screwdrivers like for thermostats and stuff are probably the most
Oh,
lost tool that we have.
interesting. Okay. Um, what kind of, when it comes to HVAC, heating and air, does your homeowner's insurance cover any of that? Typically?
Yeah, so yes it will. Typically it's gonna have to be something like inside anyways. You're looking at if you had a flood, that kind of thing, or water damage caused
Mm,
to the furnace or an accessory, that'll definitely get covered. I've also done a lot of hail damage in the past too on air conditioners. When you get severe hail, that'll actually wreck the coils outside and will bend the fins to a point where you no longer can get the efficiency out of them that you did before. So, it won't typically your homeowner's insurance won't cover repairs, like if a part breaks, something like that. The only time that it will cover repairs is if you have electrical surges. That'll be a
mm,
homeowner's insurance deal that I've done quite a few times. People that have lightning strikes at home, because these furnaces and even the air conditioners and heat pumps nowadays are so electronically charged now. They get fried. And actually, that's why one of the biggest things that we sell as an accessory is a surge protector for your equipment.
oh,
So,
yes. That's definitely a really good idea. I
yeah.
didn't realize that you could put a surge protector on something as big as a your HVAC
Yeah, it's
system.
just like your computer. It's basically it gets wired into the furnace and or air conditioner and heat pump and protects it for those surges.
Very cool.
So it's
All
it's it's
right.
super nice when you have typical surge protector is going to cost you about 250 to 350, and when you factor in that an average circuit board nowadays, which is typically what gets fried in a lightning surge, is going to be well over $1,000. It's definitely kind of a nice little thing to have.
Definitely. Okay. And I remember last time you were on our show when we were talking about hail damage and your cooling unit outside.
Hmm.
You mentioned do not cover
Nope,
your
still stand by that.
units. And the reason behind it is
So the reason behind not covering the air conditioner is a two-part reason. One, when you completely seal your air conditioning with like a tarp or a cover, what happens is you trap moisture and humidity in there throughout the whole season, and that'll cause your unit to rust or corrode faster. Also, along with that, when you trap moisture and heat in that thing, it becomes a nice little breeding ground for mice and rodents, and they love to live in there. And then all winter long, when they're living in there, they chew all your wires up. And then come springtime, when you go when it starts to hit 80 degrees, you turn your air on and nothing happens. And then I get called out there, and well, what happened to sir is you have a big mouse nest in there. So what I recommend is two things: is either if you're just adamant about covering it, don't cover it all the way. Cover it about halfway so that the air has some space to breathe. And or if you have an air conditioner that sits over your eave of your home, try to put like I always put like a bungeed piece of plywood on top of it so the ice can't damage it, which
Or hail.
or hail. Hails that's a whole nother story. It's pretty tough um, to get away from the hail. When you're going to purchase the air conditioner, it's something to look at. Like I know with our suite, we sell Train and Lux Air, and all of our air conditioners have fully protected covers on the air conditioners. So if a hailstorm does come, it just wrecks the cover and not the actual coil. And the coil is what
Ah,
the expensive part is.
interesting.
Yep.
Okay. I learn something new every time I talk to you.
Yeah, and one thing too, like if you ever do come across hail with the air conditioners and you go through insurance, one of the biggest things insurance is going to tell you is, oh, you just need to comb it out, and they'll give you a
Yeah.
few $100 for combing out the air conditioner. Um, I'd say in my career, I'd say 50% of the time, a combing is okay to do. The other 50%, it's where the hail actually has penetrated the coil enough to where it's actually wrecked that coil space, and there's no amount of combing that you can do to get that back to the way that it was. So that's why it's always best practice to make sure to have a professional come out and inspect it, to give their professional opinion on it, and then they can get you a quote on both one way or the other.
Gotcha.
So,
So if your insurance company comes out and they say, yeah, there's hail damage, but here's option A,
yep.
then have a professional come out and say, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so what
not gonna work.
I've done hundreds and hundreds of hail damage jobs before, and it's very very common for the insurance company to say, "Oh yeah, you got hail damage on your air conditioner. Here's $300 just to have it combed out." And you'd be surprised how many people don't know that there's a secondary option. And there's been many times where I've gone back 3 4 years after the fact, and they're like, "Hey, my air conditioner just doesn't seem like it wants to keep up like it used to," and that kind of thing. And I say, well, yeah, you have pretty extensive hail damage on this coil. It's not keeping up because you're not at a capacity anymore. And they're like, well, they combed it, and I'm like, well, it shouldn't have been combed. It should have been replaced. And there's really nothing they can do besides replace it. And then by that time, the insurance company's already wrote them the check and everything's done, and they didn't even know they have that option. So it's really
So
always best practice to have a second opinion.
what is combing?
So basically, they make it just so your coils, depending on the kind of coil you have. So there's two most commonly kinds of coils. There's a fin tube. So basically, there's a copper tubing with aluminum fins. Typically, is or it could be aluminum tubing with aluminum fins that go down for heat transfer. That's the most common way. And when when the hail hits them, it actually dings them like almost like a dent in your car. And so they make a tool called a coil comb, that has little forks on it that you can roll down the coil, and it'll actually straighten them. Um, does it work the best?
Got
No,
it.
it doesn't work
So
great, but it works kind of.
so it's like putting a dent in your car and you personally try and punch it out and there's still little ripples and
Yeah,
it doesn't look right, but it's not a big dent
yeah,
anymore.
right.
It's kind of what you're
It's kind of like when your car goes through like a massive hailstorm, and they're like, well. Yeah, we could go through and pop out every single one of these dents, and some of them are so bad they're actually creased. So we can go in and cut it out and fix it, but it's going to cost this much and that kind of thing. Um, so yeah, it's definitely is really really important to have a saying heating and air conditioning company come out and take a peek at it and make sure that there's not going to be more longer lasting damage to that unit.
oh,
Don't always
very
take the
cool.
insurance company's first deal. That's a common thing that a lot of people do, and the insurance companies bank on you guys doing just taking their first whatever they give you. They think is all everything's negotiable. Just so you know.
That is really good advice, because I honestly would think that the insurance company would, like, they're the beat all end all answer. So the first one is the answer. But you're saying typically you can get a second opinion from a professional, not just an
Absolutely.
insurance adjuster or
Yep.
inspector that
Absolutely.
can say yes or no.
Yeah. So
Very
basically,
cool.
if a professional comes in and says no, the hail damage is pretty extensive. There's no combing that's gonna. Typically, I use the 50% rule. If 50% of the coil is completely destroyed, um, it's not going to be able to. It's not a combing fix at that point. So or if the hail is big enough to where it's caused like significant denting to the coil, then you come in with a recommendation to their insurance company, and then
Gotcha.
then I get a phone call from the insurance company, and then we kind of have a little conversation too. So I've done it hundreds of times. It's just kind of I've done it a bunch to know, but a lot of homeowners, they don't realize they have that power.
Yes, definitely. So, just for our listeners, a reminder: we are talking with Joe Hazeman, the owner of Air Comfort Heating and Air. You can find him at aircomfortmn.com, or you can text him, because he does respond to text
Yep.
messages, at 763-753-6623. So, Joe, when we come back, we're about to break for a commercial here.
Yeah.
But when we come back, let's talk about heat pumps,
Yeah.
because that's a big thing
Yeah. For sure.
now. And you mentioned that the government is providing, what do they call it?
Tax
Like
and credits.
tax
Yep.
credits
So
if
there's a lot of
you.
tax credits stuff out there right now with heat pumps, and they're really trying to switch over to that.
And the reason they're offering that is because they are more efficient for maintaining temperature in your house,
Correct.
correct?
Yep. Correct.
Perfect. So when we do come back from our commercial break, we will be talking with Joe Hazeman at Air Comfort Heating and Air about heat pumps and this newer technology that you could qualify for credits for. So you don't have to cover the whole cost out of pocket, which would be nice.
Yeah.
And then just kind of demystifying what a heat pump is.
Correct.
Right, Joe?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, stay tuned for the Yarlow Home Cringe Show, and we'll be right back after these messages. When it comes to the ever-important task of home maintenance, the struggle to keep everything organized is real. Are you grappling with a jumble of receipts and invoices in that messy drawer of yours? Or perhaps they're scattered through old emails and making it all too easy to lose track. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. This is Katie Shahan, and I've developed the perfect solution, the Yarlow app. Picture this, an app that sweeps away the chaos and brings order to your home management woes. Yarlow is your free ticket to seamless organization of all things related to home maintenance, improvements, and even those ambitious remodeling projects. With just a few taps, you can effortlessly input receipts and warranty details, ensuring that every piece of vital information is right at your fingertips. I invite you to step into the future of home management. Throw away the paper and join the paperless revolution. Download the Yarlow app or visit yarlow.com today. That's YARLOW.
North Base Construction, great service from the ground up. Roofing, storm damage, and siding. Call the pros at North Base. A hands-on approach, advice and consulting. Our attention to detail makes the difference. Visit online at northbaseconstruction.com. North Base Construction, great service from the ground up.
If you're an empty nester or looking to downsize, find your solution at Home App Realty. We're the downsizing specialists who make your transitions seamless. From discovering the perfect space to selling your current home, we're here for you. Plus, we know how first impressions count. Home App can help you update your home before selling, ensuring you get the best value. Don't pay anything until closing. Home App Realty, that's HOMAPT.com, or call 612-655-2324 to get started today. Hi, this is Katie Shahan with the Yarlow Home Cringe Show, and I'm here with Rich Kerner, owner of Watts Electric. Rich, tell us a little bit about Watts.
We are a family-owned electrical contractor here in Minnesota, and we can help you with any of our electrical needs, From simple to large, we can do it all.
So how do I get in contact with you?
Send us a text at 763-607-6680. That's best because we might have our hands full, but give us a call too.
Or I can reach you at wattselectricmn.com.
At Cura Home, we visit our clients' homes once a quarter, taking care of everything you're supposed to be doing as a perfect homeowner, but we all know we neglect. From cleaning your dryer vent, AC unit, refrigerator coil, to providing all your filters, we can take care of your home with our quarterly visits. Additionally, we offer one-time services like air duct cleaning, dryer vent cleaning, and AC unit cleaning. Visit our website at curahome.com. That's KURAHOME.com, or give us a call, 612-503-4050.
Prepare to revolutionize your home management game with a touch of cutting-edge technology. Do you own a home and love exploring the latest technology? Hi, I'm Katie Shahan, creator of the Yarlow app. Yarlow is a free app that lets you keep track of all your home maintenance improvements and remodeling documents. Add your receipts and warranty information so all your data is at your fingertips. Throw away the paper and join the paperless revolution. Download the Yarlow app or visit yarlow.com today. That's YARLOW. It's the Yarlow Home Cringe Show. I'm your host, Katie Shahan. Welcome back to the Home Cringe Show, where we talk about all those cringe-worthy moments in home ownership. Feel free to drop us a line on our social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, about some of your home cringe moments, and maybe we'll mention them on our show. Today we're talking with Joe Hazeman with Air Comfort Heating and Air. You can find him at aircomfortmn.com. And Joe, I thought maybe we could do a customer home cringe moment that you've recently had someone experience.
Yeah. So one of the recent one I had was I had a customer who we put a brand new system in for last year. And what a lot of customers don't realize is that, there's a lot of accessories that can come with your furnace. And if, we give you all the options to replace those things, and sometimes customers choose to just get it all done right the first time, and sometimes some people decide they kind of want to cut a few corners on things. Recently, what I found was I had a customer we put a whole system in for about a year ago, but you have a thing what's called a condensate pump. Some customers who don't have floor drains have condensate pumps that pump the condensation to another area. This customer decided that when we installed the system, he didn't want to do the condensate pump, which, we gave him the option, gave him the price, and he didn't want to do it. He said he just replaced it, or I don't remember what the deal was. But anyways, we went there, and he had water all over his floor. And so we went there, and the pump had gone bad. And he was mad because we wouldn't cover under warranty. And we, explained to him, and we even had to show him that, it was in their proposal as an option for you, and that you had denied it, and that you didn't want to do it. So, that's not a thing that's because we didn't install it, and we can't warranty that for him. But that's something that's really something that every customer or homeowner, whenever they're getting a bid on a new furnace or air conditioner or heating and cooling system in general, you got to look at what all they're putting in, because I know there's some companies out there that won't even put a new thermostat on, or we're skimp on things. I know I've known some companies that, when they put an air conditioner in, they're not putting both coils, they're not replacing both coils, they're replacing one, and the customers don't know this stuff, and so it's really good to ask questions, and that's why it's really good to have a professional that's been doing it for a long time. We're Air Comfort's been around for 21 years, almost 22 here in May, and it's good to have a company who's been around, who can be honest with you and tell you what exactly you're getting, because you get a spot like that where there's a lot of companies that won't even recommend the condensate pump. They'll just, oh yeah, it works fine, we'll just reuse it. Well, reusing stuff that's old is not the best idea.
Interesting. Okay, so I would say the best advice is to always get a second opinion.
Yeah.
So when you have one person,
yep.
And then obviously looking at maybe reviews or maybe
for sure.
Other referrals.
Yeah, you always want to do your research. You know what I mean? It's there's so many heating and air companies out there, and especially with the way it is now, I feel like every day there's a new heating and air company, and these fly-by-night heating and air companies, they might save you some upfront money, but in the long run, they typically are going to cost you a lot of money. It's better to do it right the first time than have to fix it after the fact. And a lot of times, those fly-by-night guys they're in and out and they're done, and they're maybe a company for a year, and then they decide, remember, they can't hack it like we can, and they go
it's
away.
scary for me. Yeah, it's scary for me that you said that there's two coils in the AC unit.
Yeah. Yep.
And how do I know that they replaced both? It's not until it breaks that
and that's the thing.
Figure out they did it wrong.
Like with us, when we're all done, there's a thing called AHRI. It's an organization that tests every single heating and air conditioning out there. And when we're done, we always give all of our customers AHRI certificates. And that on that certificate, it tells you what furnace you got, what coil, what evaporator coil was on there, and what condenser coil that they got, so that they know that everything was replaced and done, and it gets the maximum amount of efficiency that we promised them.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. So for our listeners out there, pay attention for, what is it?
It's called AHRI. It's the average a heating and air guy like me, that's like, everyone knows what AHRI in the heating and air industry, but just, if anything simple, just ask for a certificate just saying what you got, and that to make sure that the efficiency is correct. Especially with where we're at today, and kind of leading into the heat pump stuff is with the tax credits and the rebates that are out there now, these are all things that are required in order to get those rebates and tax credits. So if you're hiring a company who isn't supplying an AHRI number to you, at the end of the job or even before the job, to confirm that you're getting exactly what you're getting, because there's a lot of companies out there that, unfortunately, that I've been finding that are promising like tax credits, for example. They're promising tax credits when they have furnaces that don't even qualify for tax credits, because in order to qualify for the new federal tax credits, you have to have a 97% or more efficient furnace. And I've been seeing companies that have 95, 96% efficient furnaces, and they're putting tax credits on there, and it's pretty crazy to me. But you definitely want to watch that stuff.
Okay, so talking about efficiency, something that I've been introduced to recently is called a heat pump.
Yep.
And they're kind of making their way up here to Minnesota. Traditionally, they haven't been in Minnesota because of how cold we get, but the technology's gotten better, and so tell us a little bit about those heat pumps.
So Air Comforts, we've actually been putting heat pumps in for 20 plus years. Heat pumps been a technology that's been around for a long, long time. It's been around for a certain. It's important for at a certain point where the temperature gets down to low temperatures where it doesn't work efficiently, and that was the old school ones. The old school ones would work down to about 30 degrees at the most, and then the efficiency really tanked, and it was never a really popular option unless you had like propane or fuel oil, or even if you look up way up north where my great uncle started doing heating and air, the coal. And you laugh, but you'd be surprised. There's probably still some people up there that are still heating it with wood or coal. But anyways, heat pumps have really been really making a turn, I'd say, the last 5-6 years, especially when they've been getting into what's called cold climate heat pumps. There's heat pumps today that I can get for you today that will efficiently still heat down to about -10, -15 degrees outside. And I know that there's actually heat pumps that are coming out here in the real near future that'll even get down to 20, 22 below. So wow. The technology is getting significantly better now, to where it makes more sense.
And when you say get down to, what you mean is that it's still running efficiently. Yep. Your heat pump's not going to break when it gets down to -47. No, it's just not going to run efficiently.
Yeah, so that's the thing with heat pumps is how a heat pump works is you kind of got to go back to how an air conditioning works. So what a heat pump is actually takes the place of your traditional air conditioner, and not only does it cool like a traditional air conditioner does, but it also actually heats. So how that works is how an air conditioning works. We'll start with that first. Your air conditioning doesn't actually just blow cold air in your house. What an air conditioning does is it takes hot, stagnant heat out of your house, and transfers that outside via refrigeration. Now, what a heat pump does is literally reverses that cycle. It takes hot air and all, whatever, how as much heat as it can out of the outdoor air, transfers it into the house via refrigeration. So it's not 2 units. The air conditioning and the heat pump are 1 unit now. And yeah, so temperature is a big part of that. Obviously, the colder the temperature, the less heat there is in the air. So that's why the newer technology is just unbelievable. Some of this inverter technology and stuff from overseas that we're getting is really mind blowing. How much it actually can heat down to these crazy low temperatures that we get in Minnesota.
Yeah, and with the increased cost of utilities, definitely looking at efficiency. And while there's still tax credits available, if you do have an older unit, this might be an opportunity to be proactive about replacing it.
Yeah.
With something that is more efficient.
Yeah, especially this year. I mean, this is going to be the best year that we've had ever in the history for heat pump development and heat pump purchases, just because not only are utility companies finally getting on board with heat pumps and offering phenomenal rebates, but now they have the tax credits that are up to $2,600 plus coming out soon. Hopefully, we're kind of waiting on the government here, but there's also going to be some federal rebates that are available for heat pumps as well. As we stand right here, between tax credits, utility rebates, you can get up to $5,700 back by installing a heat pump. It's amazing where we're at right now with this and all the incentives. It's really what it is it's called the electrification of what we're trying to do. It's really kind of piggybacking on what they're trying to do in the car industry. With electric cars and the hybrid stuff, this is really what our industry is getting into as well. More of a hybrid system where you can heat and cool. And the other thing, like you said, with utility companies, is a lot of utility companies are offering what's called off-peak programs or dual fuel programs, which they'll give you cheaper electrical rates by having those systems like heat pump systems.
Oh, great. So I do have an older AC unit, and I know it has had issues in the past. So this might be my opportunity. I might wait until I see if I can get some more federal tax credits.
Yeah.
But man, it sounds like one, the heat pumps are a little bit better for our environment.
Yeah,
they're a
for
little
sure.
bit more eco-friendly,
Yep.
as well as they're not as heavy of a burden on our utilities.
And that's the other nice thing too is, you got to think about a heat pump. A heat pump can be up to 400% more efficient than a furnace can be. So it's also, not only is it better for the environment, you get more money back. It's going to heat and cool. But when it does run, especially this year, I mean, this is like heat pump central in Minnesota here with how cold, warm it's been. I mean, my heat pump's been running almost all winter, and it's crazy that when you can get efficiency of up to like 400 to 450% compared to your furnace. Yeah, that's a big savings that a lot of people in the life of that unit can definitely get a payback and not have to spend money on gas and all the things that go with that kind of stuff. Plus, it takes less life off of your furnace, and it's all a benefit. It really is. It's something that like I say, heat pumps not a new technology. I mean, us at Air Comfort, we've been putting them in for 20 plus years, and heat pumps been around for 30, 40 years. I mean, you go down south and everything's heat pump down there.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, that's about our time. So thanks, Joe Hazeman.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Air Comfort Heating and Air. Find them at aircomfortmn.com.
Yep. Appreciate it.